The Empire's arrogance stars of the Orion sector burned quietly. But the silence of space was broken when the war drums of the Galactic Empire echoed across the void. For centuries, the Empire had ruled without question. Its fleets were massive, its technology ancient, and its pride unmatched. Every species feared the Empire's banner. Every world bent to its command. But then came humanity. The Terran Union, small and young, only a few centuries into the stars, to the Empire. Humans were nothing but curious animals who had risen too quickly. They called Earth a child world. They laughed at the idea of Terrans holding fleets and standing in the same space lanes as old civilizations. The Galactic Emperor himself watched from his golden throne, surrounded by alien nobles. His voice was cold as he declared before his court. The Terrans think they are ready to stand among empires. We will crush them in one stroke. We will remind the galaxy that humans are fragile things, destined to kneel. The Empire's War Council prepared a grand display. Dozens of warships were called. Each ship was larger than a Terran city. Weapons that had burned worlds were polished and armed. Alien commanders mocked the humans, calling them reckless. Admiral Zorath of the Empire sneered when he saw the reports. The Terran fleet is small. A few carriers, some cruisers, and their so-called dreadnoughts, laughable. He turned to his crew with a cruel smile. We will end them in hours. Then we will place Earth's star system under our chains, but far across the sector. In the Terran flagship Resolute, the humans were silent. The fleet was smaller, yes, but every soldier, every officer carried a calm that unsettled even their allies. There was no fear in their eyes. Instead, there was quiet confidence. Alien spies reported this strange behavior back to the Empire. One of them whispered, "The humans do not prepare as if they face defeat. They prepare as if they already know the outcome." The Empire ignored the warning. Pride blinded them. The day of battle came. The stars were filled with the Empire's fleet. Black and gold warships stretched across the system like a wall. Their engines lit the void with burning fire. The Terran fleet appeared smaller, lined up in a tight formation. Their ships gleamed silver against the dark. Alien spectators from neutral worlds tuned in to watch. Some expected a massacre, they said. This is the end of human pride. Others watched with curiosity, whispering, "Why do humans smile?" On the bridge of the Empire's flagship, Admiral Zorath stood tall. His voice filled the comms across the battlefield. "Terrans, you are reckless children who dared to enter the galaxy's stage. Today, we erase your foolish dreams. Kneel before the Empire or be destroyed." The comm channel opened on the Terran side. A single man appeared, Admiral Hayes of the Terran Union. His uniform was neat, his face calm. His lips curled into a small smile, not of madness, but of amusement. He answered in a voice steady and unshaken, "You mistake our silence for fear. You mistake our calm for weakness, and soon, Admiral, you will mistake this battle for a war you cannot win." The Empire's officers laughed. Mockery filled their bridge. They called the humans arrogant, blind, doomed, but still. The Terran Admiral smiled. The fleets prepared. The Empire's ships charged their weapons, firepower enough to shatter moons. Terran ships remained still, waiting, watching. Alien broadcasts across the galaxy cut to every corner of known space. Billions watched, holding their breath. Would the Terrans be crushed in seconds? Or was there a secret behind their calm faces? Back on Earth, citizens gathered around screens. Families, soldiers, children, every heart beat as one. Humanity had been underestimated before. Throughout history, empires of old had laughed at humans, nations stronger had mocked them, but humans had always risen, always fought back, always endured, and now, standing against the greatest empire of the galaxy, they smiled once again. The signal came. The Empire fired the first shot. Blinding energy lanced across space. Burning bright like newborn stars, the void trembled. The first wave of destruction surged toward the Terran line. But in that instant, as the weapons lit the void, the cameras caught a chilling sight. The Terran Admiral laughed, not madness, not despair, true amusement. As if the humans had been waiting for this moment. As if the Empire had stepped exactly where they wanted. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see why. Why would humanity laugh in the face of annihilation? Asterisk humanity's calm response at the first wave of the Empire's firestorm rushed across the void. Blazing with the power of ancient weapons, entire moons had been shattered by such energy before. Civilizations had crumbled under its weight. The alien nobles watching from their safe worlds leaned forward, ready to see the Terran fleet burned into dust. But when the glare faded, the truth made the galaxy shiver. The Terran fleet still stood. Shields glowed faint blue around the silver warships, absorbing the destruction. The flagship Resolute barely shifted under the impact. A ripple of light danced across its hull, then faded as if nothing had happened. Whispers began to spread across the neutral stations watching. Impossible, the Empire's weapons cracked the crusts of planets. How can human shields endure this? On the bridge of the Empire's flagship, Admiral Zorath's smile faded slightly. He ordered a second barrage, louder, stronger, darker with fury. Again the void lit up. Again the Terran ships endured, their formation never breaking, their silence never fading. Inside the Resolute, Admiral Hayes stood with his officers, his eyes calm, his hands steady. His crew looked to him, but none spoke fear. They all knew why they were here. They all knew humanity's strength was never just steel or firepower. It was will, patience, and the ability to strike when the enemy least expected it. Hayes leaned forward, his voice low. Hold fire, not yet. The alien commanders screamed over their comms. Why do you not fight back? Are you broken already? Their laughter filled the channels, cruel and mocking. But the humans did not answer, they only adjusted formation, closing ranks. Their ships moved with smooth precision, every maneuver rehearsed 1,000 times. Spectators grew restless. Some began to think the Terrans were cowards, others whispered with unease, no. Look at their faces, they are not afraid, they are waiting, but for what? Admiral Zorath slammed his fist against his command chair. Crush them. Push forward and break their line. His fleet surged ahead, black and gold warships firing. In endless storms, the void was filled with flame, debris, and the roar of dying stars. Still, the Terran fleet endured. Still, the Terran admiral smiled. A junior officer on the Empire's side turned pale. Admiral, they should be destroyed. By now, why do they stand? Why do they not move? Zorath snarled, because they are fools waiting for death, nothing more. But inside the Resolute, humanity's secret waited. Admiral Hayes finally gave the first order of war. Signal the fleet. Pattern 7, slow advance. The Terran fleet began to move, not fast, not aggressive, but calm, deliberate. Every ship slid forward as if part of a single body, shields still glowing, weapons still silent. Alien spectators gasped. Why are they advancing under fire without shooting back? The answer was in their discipline, in every human officer's eyes. There was a strange amusement, as if the enemy's greatest firepower was nothing more than a storm against stone. As if they had already mapped every move the Empire would make. One Terran captain whispered to his crew, let them empty their guns. Let them taste their own arrogance. And then we will show them what Earth has prepared. The Empire's fleet rained destruction. But their commanders began to notice their energy reserves dropping, their ships overheated, their gunners exhausted. The Terran fleet, however, advanced. With steady engines, their shields recharged with quiet hums, their silence louder than any roar. Admiral Hayes finally opened a comm channel again. His calm face filled the Empire's screens. His tone was almost soft, almost amused. You do not understand why we smile, he said. It is not because we are arrogant, it is not because we are blind. It is because humanity has faced monsters before, monsters greater than empires. And every time we endured, the galaxy fell silent at his words. Even some alien spectators shivered. His voice carried not pride, but certainty. On the bridge of the Empire's flagship, Zorath roared, enough games, end them now. But Hayes only leaned back. His final words before the counterstrike chilled even his enemies. You fire at us and see nothing break. You mock us and see only smiles. Admiral, have you not wondered why? The Terran fleet shifted, weapons powered up for the first time, silent hulls now glowed with energy, cannons rotated. Missile bays opened, dreadnoughts hummed like waking giants. Spectators across the galaxy felt their hearts pound. The calm silence of humanity was over. The answer to their smiles was about to begin, and as the Terran weapons came online, the Admiral whispered one last command, now we answer. The first strike, silence broke. Terran ships lit up like awakening titans. Their steel bodies hummed with energy as weapons came alive, cannons glowed with white fire. Missile bays opened like iron jaws and railguns hummed with deadly power. Across the battlefield, the Empire's commanders froze. For the first time since the battle began, they saw movement, not frantic, not desperate, but calm, measured, unstoppable. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his eyes never left the tactical screen. His voice was steady, almost quiet. All ships, target the forward line. Precision fire, no waste. The order carried across the fleet. Terran captains moved in perfect discipline. Every gunner's hands hovered over their controls, waiting. Then came the signal, fire. The void exploded. Railguns thundered with hypersonic rounds that cut through space like blades. Missiles streaked out in swarms, their engines blazing. Energy cannons unleashed beams so focused they split armor like paper. The first line of the Empire's fleet was torn apart in seconds. The alien warships, ships larger than human cities shattered, fire and debris lit the stars. Screams filled Empire comm channels as crews tried to stabilize failing shields. Alien spectators across the galaxy gasped, their voices trembled. No, this cannot be. That was the Empire's strongest vanguard. Admiral Zorath's eyes widened, his ship shook as his forward fleet collapsed. He roared, hold the line. They are only humans, but his crew whispered in fear, Admiral, their weapons, their aim. They are too precise. It was true. Humanity's weapons did not spray fire wildly. They struck with cold accuracy. Each shot found a weakness. Each missile struck where shields were thin. Every blow was calculated. Admiral Hayes gave another command, shift fire, second line, dreadnoughts forward. The Terran dreadnoughts advanced. Giants of war wrapped in glowing shields, their guns thundered in rhythm. Each shot shook the void. The Empire fought back with desperation. Warships poured fire into the Terran line, but where their weapons scattered, humanity's shots pierced. Where their fleets moved in chaos, the Terrans moved in unity. Alien spectators began to understand humanity did not fight like other races. They fought with something deeper, something carved into them by centuries of survival. They fought like predators who had studied every weakness before striking. One neutral commentator whispered over the broadcast, the Empire fights with pride, humans fight with purpose. This is not a battle, this is a hunt. The Empire's ships fell one after another. Explosions painting the dark with fire. Inside the Resolute, Hayes watched calmly. His officers called out targets, damage reports, kill counts. He nodded each time, never raising his voice. An officer turned to him, Admiral, their second line is breaking. Should we press? Hayes shook his head slightly. Not yet. Let them panic. Let them waste their strength. And indeed, panic spread. The Empire's commanders shouted, desperate to control their fleets. But their discipline cracked. Ships drifted out of formation. Fear crept into their voices. The Terran fleet advanced step by step, a wall of steel and fire. Silent, ruthless, efficient. On the Empire's comms, a young officer cried, Admiral, their ships, they are smaller, but faster. Stronger. How is this possible? Zorath's face twisted with rage. Because they are tricksters. They cannot defeat us. Fire everything. The Empire unleashed another storm. 1,000 guns poured energy into the void. But the Terran shields held, glowing like suns, absorbing every strike. Then came the Terran answer. Missiles cut through the chaos, slamming into Empire flagships. Railgun slugs pierced armor and detonated reactors. Dreadnought beams sliced through battleships like hot knives through ice. In minutes, dozens of Empire ships were gone. Wreckage drifted in silence, flames licking broken hulls. The galaxy watched. In shock, billions of eyes glued to the unfolding war. The young race that the Empire mocked was dismantling their greatest fleet piece by piece. On the Resolute, Admiral Hayes finally gave the order, his voice colder than steel. Now, break them. The Terran fleet surged, engines roared. Cannons fired in endless rhythm. The advance turned into a storm. The Empire's ships collapsed under the pressure. No formation, no order, just chaos and fear. Admiral Zorath slammed his fists against his chair. His pride cracked. His voice screamed, this is not possible. They are humans. They should not. They cannot. But the evidence was before him. For every Terran ship lost, 10 Empire ships burned. For every human strike, an Empire flagship vanished. The comm channel opened again. Admiral Hayes appeared. On Empire screens, his calm face lit by firelight from burning ships. His voice steady, his eyes sharp. You laughed at us. You called us children. You thought your strength was eternal. He paused, his lips curled into that same quiet smile. Now you understand why we smiled back. The words struck harder. Then weapons. The Empire's pride shattered. The galaxy trembled. The first strike was complete. And humanity was only just beginning. Asterisk, the turning point. The battlefield burned. Stars hid behind clouds of wreckage and fire. The Empire's once proud armada was no longer a shining wall of power. It was fragments, broken fleets drifting apart. Under the relentless Terran assault, yet the Empire still had numbers. Admiral Zorath still had pride. With a growl, he barked across the command deck. Rally the reserves, surround them. We will crush their small fleet with sheer weight. Thousands of ships moved forward from the shadows, fresh cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts surged to reinforce the battered lines. The galaxy gasped. For even after the terrible losses, the Empire still held a vast tide of steel. But on the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Hayes stood unmoved. His eyes scanned the tactical map. His lips pressed into a thin smile. So this is their real hand. He whispered, good, now the game begins. His officers exchanged glances. Some felt the weight of what they saw: 3 Terran fleets against nearly 10 times their number. But none spoke doubt, for they trusted their admiral, and they trusted the steel of their people. The Empire surged like a storm. Waves of ships charging from every direction, missiles painted the void. Energy lances carved across space. The Terran shields flickered under the endless bombardment. Still, Hayes waited. His calm was unnerving. His officers finally asked, Admiral, do we hold position? He nodded slowly. Yes, hold. Let them come closer. Alien commentators across the galaxy cried out, the humans are surrounded. They cannot escape. Their fleet will be erased. But the humans did not panic. Instead, their ships tightened formation, turning into a spearhead. Every gun ready, every engine burning at full strength when the Empire closed the circle. When every ship was in range, Hayes gave the signal, execute pattern 12, break their jaws. The Terran fleet suddenly shifted, engines roared as the formation changed. Instead of retreating, the humans charged, railguns fired in perfect rhythm. Missiles cut like swarms of fireflies, energy beams burned through carrier decks. The Terran fleet pierced forward like a blade, the Empire, expecting a retreat, was caught. In shock, their perfect circle became their own cage, ships collided, commanders shouted in panic. Order shattered, Admiral Zorath roared, close the trap, don't let them escape. But it was too late, humanity did not escape, they broke through. The Terran fleet smashed into the weakest point, their fire tearing a path wide enough for the dreadnoughts to follow. Alien spectators shouted in awe, they turned the trap into a weapon inside the Resolute. Hayes leaned forward, now, turn left. Collapse their flank, don't let them reform. The Terran fleet twisted like a serpent, cutting into the Empire's forces with deadly precision. Every Empire ship that tried to regroup was met with overwhelming fire. On one comm channel, an alien noble whispered, voice shaking, this isn't war. It's strategy carved in blood. They're dismantling an Empire fleet as if it were a puzzle. The Empire's numbers began to mean nothing, their sheer size worked against them. Their commander shouted conflicting orders, their formations broken beyond repair. Admiral Hayes gave the next command, his voice steady. Release the reserve wings, full strike. Dozens of Terran strike craft launched from hidden bays. Small fighters darted into the chaos, weaving between colossal ships, planting torpedoes in weak spots, detonating reactors from inside. Explosions rippled across the Empire's rear lines, carriers burst into fire, cruisers broke apart. Admiral Zorath slammed his claws into his command chair, his voice broke. How can they fight like this? They are few, they are young. This is impossible, but the truth whispered across the galaxy was simple. It is not impossible. It is human. The Terran fleet pushed harder, shields glowing like suns, guns firing without pause. And still, they smiled, calm even in the storm, on the neutral worlds. Billions of alien citizens watched in silence. Some began to cheer quietly. Some began to fear loudly, for they realized what they were witnessing was not just a battle. It was the rise of a power no empire could ignore inside the Resolute. An officer finally turned to Hayes, voice full of awe, Admiral, they are breaking everywhere. Should we press for the kill? Hayes's eyes narrowed, his voice carried like a blade, not yet, let them know what fear tastes like. Let the galaxy watch as their pride burns. And so, the Terran fleet slowed its strike, not to rest but to drag out the Empire's defeat. To show every corner of space that humanity was not just another race. Humanity was a storm that chose when and how it struck. Admiral Zorath fell. Silent at last, his officers stared at him, some whispered of retreat, some whispered of surrender. None spoke of victory anymore. The turning point had come, the Empire no longer fought to win. They fought to survive, and humanity was not done. The final blow battlefield was a graveyard. Shattered ships drifted like corpses across the stars. Flames flickered in the void where proud Empire warships had once stood. The Terran fleet advanced slowly, like hunters closing on a wounded beast, every gun still hot, every shield still glowing. Inside the Resolute, Admiral Hayes stood tall, his eyes fixed on the tactical map. The Empire's once massive fleet was now scattered in broken fragments. Desperation filled their comm channels. One officer whispered to Hayes, Admiral, they are weak. They cannot stand much longer. Hayes nodded, but his voice was cold. Weakness is not enough. They must never forget this day. The order spread like lightning. Terran ships adjusted formation. Engines roared as the fleet prepared its final strike. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. The commentators spoke in hushed tones. This is it. The humans are about to end it. Admiral Zorath, his pride shattered, still tried to command, hold your lines. Fire everything. Do not let them break us. His voice cracked. His officers no longer believed. They saw the truth in their screens. The humans were not struggling. They were choosing. Then it began. The Terran dreadnoughts opened fire first. Beams of white energy tore across the void, each shot split Empire battleships into halves. Railguns followed, slugs tearing through cruisers as if they were paper. Missiles launched in endless waves, blooming like deadly flowers across the Empire's rear lines. Fighters swarmed once more, darting between wreckage, planting torpedoes inside engines and reactors, each explosion a flash of light, each scream a reminder of human precision. Empire ships tried to retreat, engines flared desperately, but the Terran fleet cut off every path. Moving with perfect discipline, they corralled the Empire's survivors like wolves herding prey. Inside the Resolute, Hayes gave his final command. His words sharp as iron, no mercy, finish them. The Terran fleet surged, Admiral Zorath's flagship A colossal dreadnought fired every weapon it had, energy beams lanced out. Torpedoes filled the void, the humans did not flinch, their shields held, their guns answered. A railgun slug the size of a truck smashed through Zorath's forward shield, another pierced the hull, explosions tore across the decks. Flames spread inside the command bridge, Zorath's eyes burned with rage. He stood tall even as fire consumed his ship. "We are the Empire, we do not fall to insects." He screamed, but his scream was drowned by the roar of Terran cannons. One final beam tore through his flagship, splitting it in two. The mighty ship exploded, scattering fire across the void. The galaxy gasped in silence. The Empire's leader was gone. The remaining ships broke instantly. Some tried to flee, others dropped their weapons. But there was no escape. The Terran fleet moved like a storm, tearing apart stragglers, crippling survivors. Minutes later, silence fell. Only wreckage remained. Thousands of burning ships drifted aimlessly. The Empire's greatest armada was gone. On the Resolute, the bridge was quiet. Officers stared at their screens in awe. Finally, one spoke softly, "It's done. They are finished." Hayes did not smile. He looked across the burning stars, his voice steady. "Signal the galaxy." A broadcast went out. Every world, every colony, every station tuned in. The image of Admiral Hayes appeared, his uniform dark, his eyes sharp. Behind him, the stars burned with the wreckage of the Empire's pride. His voice carried with calm authority. "The Empire dared to challenge humanity. They mocked us. They thought us weak. Today, the galaxy has seen the truth." He paused, letting silence weigh heavy. "We did not fight for conquest. We fought because they dared to test us. Let this be remembered. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity laughs at those who would stand above us." Across the galaxy, silence reigned. Then whispers spread, whispers that turned into fear, admiration, and awe. Some alien races cheered, others hid in terror, but all understood humanity had arrived. On the bridge, one officer finally asked Hayes, "Admiral, what message shall we give to those who still doubt us?" Hayes turned his gaze to the stars, his voice low, but every world heard it. "Tell them this: if you want war with humans, bring your empire, bring your fleets. Bring your pride, and watch it burn." The galaxy trembled. The Terran fleet turned slowly, engines glowing, leaving behind a graveyard of steel and fire. Humanity did not stay to boast. They left the wreckage in silence, for the galaxy to stare at, for the memory to linger, and long after the Terran fleet vanished into the stars, one truth echoed across every world: the Empire dared to face humanity, and humanity laughed as it crushed them.